At Kentucky Speedway, a short sprint to the checkered flag has now been set up by the latest caution flag. Greg Biffle is the leader, but Chad, there are a number of cars on the tail end of the lead lap. They will start in front of him into his inside lapped automobiles. This restart can get kind of crazy.
Oh, how the complexity of a race can change so quickly.
Now, among those cars, Ricky Hendrick, Ashton Lewis Jr., Randy LaJoie, I believe also Coy Gibbs. Those cars on the tail end of the lead lap in front of Greg Biffle. So Biffle the leader, but he is number 5 in line as you see the cars weaving back and forth. Behind Biffle, Todd Bodine, and then Scott Riggs. He was the first car off of pit road among those who made stops, followed by Jamie McMurray. Kerry Earnhardt, a very quiet 5th position.
Real quickly, folks, the way this tail end of the lead lap works, those people decided not to come in on the pit stop. That lets them stay out on the racetrack. The people that come in have to line up behind them. That puts them back on the tail end of the lead lap. That actually puts the person who was leading the race, the 6th car, back. I know it sounds confusing, but in NASCAR, if you stay out and you don't pit, you're on the tail end of the lead lap.
Now they want to stay ahead of Greg Biffle, and they need a quick yellow flag if they want to get into contention for a top 10 run.
That's exactly right.
Green flag is out. Lap cars again on the inside. Cars that lead lap on the outside.
Ooh, how would you like to be in the middle of that?
Is that 5 or 6 wide? I lost count. Looks like a traffic jam, and Biffle really slicing through that hard. There he is in the outside lane, driving around Randy LaJoie. That will put him a lap down. Also around the Coy Gibbs machine. And Biffle right there on the back bumper of Ashton Lewis Jr., who frantically is trying to hold on to that lead lap.
This is 20 laps to go. No holds are barred. It is time to put the hammer down.
There to the inside of Randy LaJoie, you see the 92 of Todd Bodine. He's trying to get some clear racetrack, trying to hang on to the back bumper of Greg Biffle. Biffle having problems getting around Shane Meal in the 47 to his inside. In front of him, Ashton Lewis Jr. Those two cars locked side by side. He had an idea about trying to split them, couldn't do it. Now he dives to the inside. 3 wide. Down into turn number 3. Biffle makes it play big, washes up the racetrack. Todd Bodine walks through the same open door that Biffle just blew open. Biffle now on the back bumper of the David Ruderman machine. That is, of course, the Joe Nemechek car. Let's take a look at that restart again. Pretty wild here with 20 to go. Now take a look at Kerry Earnhardt in the 12 car on this restart, as he is a little bit farther behind the yellow car, the far right-hand part of your screen. And he takes a big run to the outside, moves around Scott Riggs. You see him way up the top of the racetrack. And that's what made it 6 wide.
Well, this track is so wide, and also you got to keep in mind, NASCAR has a rule that on restart you can only pass to the right. This track's wide enough that you can go 6, 7, 8 wide if you want on the restart.
Now, Ricky Hendrick has driven away from Greg Biffle. He is on the tail end of the lead lap. Of the cars that restarted this race on the tail end of the lead lap, after that final caution, he is the only one now that remains on the lead lap. Greg Biffle is the leader with 19 laps to go at Kentucky. He's followed closely by Todd Bodine, and then it's Tony Raines. $14 laps to go in the Kroger 300 on FX, presented by Oreo. Greg Biffle, the leader, as you look out the Little Trees in-car camera from Hermie Sadler. Again, 14 laps to go. Biffle has moved out to a half-second lead over Todd Bodine. Bodine, though, trying to keep him in sight, has clear racetrack, and Chad, it looks like he's, the last couple of laps, been able to at least cut down some of the distance between himself and the leader.
That is a real tight half-second. I mean, Biffle's, you can see Todd Bodine washed up a little high in that corner right there. You know, right now you can't hold anything back, and Todd's probably trying a couple different lines. He wants to keep in mind not to drive in too hard. The car will not turn then, but at the same time he's just saying, you know, let me have some clean air. Give me a shot at this thing.
Now, Scott Riggs has had a little bit of problem on this last restart. Glenn Jarrett, he, I believe, was like 3rd or 4th on that, has dropped back to 5th. Does he have problems?
The problem, Mark, is that, you know, they changed tires way early. They got their last set of tires about 35 to 40 laps before the other cars that are in front of him. He is just simply out of tires. The strategy backfired when that last caution flag came out. They looked like they were pretty good to go with just a splash and go on gas. But now that the field was bunched up under the caution, he doesn't have the tires to run with them.
Here's the battle for the lead. Todd Bodine is catching Greg Biffle. Biffle, who saw one slip away last week, may get beat in the closing stages again. Here is Bodine. He is there on the back bumper of the Granger Ford.
This is as they're driving into turn one, folks. 11 laps to go. Todd's running a little bit higher line, as you see there. It gives them a better run coming off the corner. Biffle's not about to give up the position, though. They touch pretty good going down the back straightaway. It's not over yet.
Again, a little bit of door-to-door tag down the back straightaway. Todd Bodine side by side with Greg Biffle. This is the battle for the lead and perhaps the victory. Bodine looking for his first win on the season. And that's Herzog Motorsports, Excedrin Chevrolet. And again, out the in-car camera from Greg Biffle. See how close these two are running. Two distinctly different lines. Bodine trying to overpower him on the outside.
And he did. That time he was able to keep his momentum up through turns 1 and 2. Get back into the gas, get a little bit more speed going, and he's carried on down the back straightaway. You can see now that second group definitely has come in, and we have ourselves a great racetrack. Two-wide racing isn't a problem, as you saw. Bodine there complete the pass on the outside. This will probably be for the win.
Biffle closing in. Todd Bodine made the choice, hey, I'm not going to Michigan. I'm staying here to win this race. He's making good on that vow. As again, Biffle really grinding hard on the bottom of the racetrack, but Bodine has got that car set up for the outside groove, and he's starting to inch away, and we have just 9 laps to go.
You always like to see a racetrack when you can drive into the outside like that. The car sticks, and he's making the second groove work.
Now you see Biffle climbing up the racetrack a bit. Do you think he maybe will take a look at that? After
I sure would. You know, if you just see a guy pass you on the outside, you've got this few laps to go, 8 laps to go, as we can see. He's going to try the outside. Maybe it'll free his car up enough.
Certainly nothing to lose. Todd Bodine, 2 top 5 finishes the last 5 races. Finished 5th at the Lowe's Motor Speedway, last super speedway event, on a track of similar size. And Bodine now working his way around a lapped automobile, starting to pull away. You can tell he's feeling it right now. He's in the groove and beginning to pull away even more from Greg Biffle, who has to be extremely frustrated. Second week in a row, he could have walked away with 2 checkered flags, and he'll walk away with none.
You know, Biffle and that 60 Roush team, they're not happy with second place. They want to win the race. They want to win all the race and lead the most laps. So you're right. He's not going to be happy with this, especially getting past with just a few laps to go.
Todd Bodine did not take part in the first Busch Series race here at Kentucky a season ago. Of course, running on the Winston Cup Series. So Bodine has now worked up a lead over Greg Biffle to 0.6 of a second. We see problems for Hermie Sadler. That is the 4th, make that the 5th car that has blown an engine.
And that also brings out our caution, which means this will probably be a 2-lap shootout when it's all said and done.
So NASCAR has thrown the caution flag, make sure that the track has not had any fluids laid down by the Little Trees machine. Maybe a little sap out of that car after letting the engine let go.
Todd Bodine did not want to see this caution, folks. He's sitting there going, you know, 6 laps to go. Why does this have to happen? Now, Biffle, on the other hand, this gives him one more chance.
Let's go to Glenn Jarrett. Glenn, go ahead.
And Tony Liberati is climbing down now. I'll see if I can get a quick question with him. Tony, you were stretching the lead out. Your car is obviously quicker the more laps they run. What about on a 2 or 3 lap restart?
I don't know. We haven't had to do that yet. We knew that our car was going to go long. We stopped in our window. We just got by the leader when the caution come out, and we're just going to see what happens. We're better than anybody right now, but I don't know with 3 or 4 laps to go. Todd's doing a heck of a job. At Excedrin Chevrolet's running real good. And I want to say to everybody out there, all the guys in the crew and everything, want to say Happy Father's Day to everybody out there, and hopefully we'll bring this thing home good.
Okay, buddy, best of luck to you. Tony made a couple of adjustments on the car, guys, the last time they pitted. Really got that thing running through the center of the corner. That's where he beat Biffle so bad.
And NASCAR might be preparing to stop these cars temporarily, so we'll have at least maybe 3 laps of green flag racing to end the Kroger 300 on FX, presented by Oreo.
You know, we have to applaud NASCAR for doing this. They took a lot of flack earlier in the year for finishing a couple races under caution, a couple big races, as a matter of fact.
So the red flag is waving here temporarily at Kentucky again, but it's not for rain. Todd Bodine's a very nervous leader, and we'll be back after this. We're frozen on lap 195 with the second red flag of this event coming out for a blown engine towards the end of this 200 lap affair. The good news is it's not for rain. The other good news, it'll set up a heck of a sprint to the checkered flag. One of the guys that will certainly be in the mix is Greg Biffle, and Brett McMillan has caught up with his crew chief.
Well, Randy, gosh, you guys are sitting in second right now. Looked very dominant. What happened there over that stretch of laps?
Well, we just got a little bit tight, and Todd's stuff's working really good, so we couldn't hold him up. So we're trying to get a decent finish. There's some guys in the points race having a bad day, and Granger guys have done a great job today. Greg's drove an awesome race. It's fun to watch him race.
With the tires now sitting there cooling a little bit, could that help you over the closing laps?
It usually helps us, but what helps us more than anything is Biffle behind the wheel.
All right. Sounds like a man who's got a little confidence, Mark.
Well, if I had Greg Biffle behind the wheel, as determined as that guy is, I got to kind of like my chances maybe to pull this thing out. So Greg Biffle will line up number 2 on this restart. Todd Bodine will be the leader, trying to hold on for his first win of 2002.